Hi, Randy Jessen here with another conversation about United Methodist polity, especially thinking about polity and Christian leadership. I'm delighted that you are taking time to be able to view this video. I want to identify a couple of things about the next couple of weeks. And so I know you've been just overjoyed and delighted to be engaged in the Book of Discipline over these last weeks as we started off the quarter with this February session, and I know that you probably keep the Book of Discipline by your bedside. I know that you read it, you engage it, you love it. I know that it is the joy of your life. Actually, the church is the joy of my life. I am so delighted to be able to have the privilege and the blessing of being able to serve the church. I believe the church, Jesus Christ, is in fact the hope of the world, and I believe that our structure is a part of that process. Sometimes our structure becomes kind of cumbersome and difficult, but it is the structure that also gives us vitality and a focus on possibilities for the future. So I'm glad we have a chance to be able to engage in this process. Let me tell you a couple of things about the next couple of weeks. So, if you've looked online, you know that this next week we're going to be looking at administrative order. We're going to look at the details of how our church is functioning and structured on a larger denominational scale with boards and agencies. Now, this is a section that is long and detailed, and I want to invite you to read it for the big picture. Don't just flip through the pages, but read it through, but look for the big picture. You should know about the various boards and agencies and how they function, but you don't need to know the absolute detail. You can come back and you can look for that detail later. If someone comes to you or you have a need to be able to know what the General Board of Higher Education does, you can come and find that out. You can see how it's structured and how it flows. But for now, read it for the big picture. This week there is no posting assignment for this section on administrative order except for an invitation for you to post for me your assessment of your current reading. How you doing? Be honest with me. Just simply tell me how you doing. Are you 80%, 100%, 20%? Where are you in your reading schedule? I want that feedback not as a part of your grade assessment, because you're going to get 5 points credit just for telling me where you're at currently, but I want that feedback so that I know how to monitor and how to encourage you as we move into the future. So, administrative order. The following week, we're going to be looking at the local church in terms of church property. Now, this is an area that deserves your close, fine-tuned reading. So when we get to the church property section, every single one of us, whether your service is someplace beyond the local church and maybe in a chaplaincy area or a hospital setting, or maybe you're doing administrative work, or maybe you're teaching, whatever it might be, we're all going to be connected to the local church in one way or another. And eventually we're going to come to terms with understanding church property. Now, when we look at the church property section, you're going to notice that there is a detailed description of the Board of Trustees. You remember all of the other organizational structures of the life of the church were in an earlier section. We talked about the church council. We talked about the board of church council, finance, nominations and personnel, staff parish relations committee. Now we're going to look at the Board of Trustees, and you'll notice the structure of the Board of Trustees. It's kind of unique. The Board of Trustees is a place where certain individuals in the church can serve even though they're not members of the church. It's also one of the places where a formal quorum is required. In all the other conversations we had, the quorum was made up of those who were present and voting. That constitutes a quorum, those present and voting. But in the Board of Trustees, a formal quorum is required because they are the legal entity of the life of the church. Take a look at that. Read the church property section in great detail. I'm going to share with you online some case studies related to church property, how you would do an expansion project, what would it be like if you did a remodeling project, how would you be able to raise funds for a project of that sort. We'll share some case studies and give you a chance to kind of interact with some real life conversation around those real life case studies. But right now, I want to invite you into a process of spiritual formation. You know that coming up this week on Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, the launching point for the Lenten season. Now, you may see the Lenten season as a time when you give something up or surrender something or offer something of yourself in a sacrificial kind of way. I want to invite you to add something to your life. Add a deeper ingredient of prayer. Add a new understanding of service and witness to the world. Whatever it might be for you, there'll be something special for you. Some of you have already shared with me some of your Lenten plans. I really appreciate that enormously. You know, for me, my nature is more introverted. When I take those like Myers-Briggs scales and things like that, I come out on the introverted side of the coin, sometimes to the extreme, sometimes falling off the edge. But I serve in a way that requires me to engage people in a different way. And so I need to refuel. So my refueling is more in a contemplative kind of way. And so my refueling is about engaging God through prayer and quiet and meditation, silence and solitude. Those are important ingredients for me. So I'm going to be looking at my own life, reflecting on my own journey as a way of exploring what God has in store for me next. Not what's next in the appointment process or what's next in terms of an attitude, but what's next in my spiritual discipline. What's next in my understanding of what God is calling me to? And I'm going to be using a book by Richard Foster. Now, some of you probably know Foster from his incredibly classic book called Celebration of Discipline. If you don't have Celebration of Discipline, you should get it right away and start devouring it. But I'm going to be using one of Foster's books called Streams of Living Water. In the Streams of Living Water, he describes the 6 great traditions of the Christian faith. We don't all express our faith in the same way. There are different traditions that cause us to theologically and biblically and practically and ministry to express our faith in unique ways. Now, I was with Foster a few years ago, back in 2007. We spent about a week together. He actually lives close by to me. He lives in Colorado, but we happened to be in Kentucky together. And during that time, he was describing these 6 great traditions. And he was using the image of a wheel, like a big wagon wheel that rolls round and round and round. And he was saying that for many of us, we get so focused on one specific tradition out of the great traditions of the faith that when our wheel goes round, it's more likely to go lump, 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 than to have a smooth, rounded feature. So I'm going to be looking at those 6 traditions and asking myself that reflective question about what's next for me. Those 6 traditions include the holiness tradition, the evangelical tradition, the social justice tradition, the charismatic tradition, the sacramental tradition, the contemplative tradition. Those are all key elements, and there are factors for all of them that are essential for our spirits. So bringing our heart close to God's heart during the season of Lent becomes critically important. I hope that you'll find a way to be able to explore what's next for you. For right now, let's continue our journey of United Methodist discipline and polity, and let's think about it from a leadership perspective. Our spiritual lives are a part of our leadership journey. Absolutely a part of our leadership journey. We cannot lead effectively in the life of the church without a deep and lasting relationship with God that is growing continually. So we focus on that for our season of Lent, and we focus on the Book of Discipline as we move closer and closer to the close of this quarter. Now, as the quarter closes, you've got your document that you're going to write. Be sure to pay close attention to the material that I sent you about your document, your final research document. Choose a topic that is fitting for you and focus on it and write well and write reflectively, write with kind of intuitive kind of being. You know, you might want to look at it like like a diamond. It has so many facets. You see the issue from the Book of Discipline. Look at it from a theological perspective, a biblical perspective. Look at it historically. Look at it from a personal perspective. Look at it from a practical ministry perspective. Look at it from a group dynamic perspective. Whatever it might be that is going to be helpful for you. Look at it and look at it clearly. Reflect on it, and then be able to articulate it in your document, and you'll do really, really well. God bless you. I pray that the Lord will guide you as we enter into Ash Wednesday and as we share our time together in the Book of Discipline. Pay close attention to the church property issues. Those will be with you forever. Pay close attention to your spiritual life. That will be with you through eternity. May God bless you and keep you. I've got to go and get ready. I've been at a men's prayer breakfast this morning, and then to a work experience, and then a little time with my mother. And now I've got other tasks to be able to tend to. And so the Lord bless you and keep you, causing the Lord's face to shine upon you and to grant you peace. See you real soon. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.